Today we're going to talk about something a borderline controversial, I would say.
Okay.
What's going on, gearheads? Welcome to GRiDlock Diecast Show. I'm your host, John, my good man, RdnRacing, and Mr. DrifterD over here, or as I like to call him, DJ DrifterD.
DJ Drifter.
Yeah, definitely. I'll tell you guys another time. That's a long story. Today we're going to talk about something a borderline controversial, I would say.
Okay.
And it's a topic that kind of came up when the three of us were chatting. And as you can see, all three of us are holding a slightly different version of the Ferrari F40. So they each got one of the cars that we took from my shop. As you can see, we are at GearOilCafe. So we're going to host a few episodes from here time to time, and then maybe some other locations other times. But essentially, the topic we wanted to raise question to is there such thing as too much details in a car? Honestly, after having a bit of this conversation already, Drifter has raised the point where there's no such thing. More details is better.
Yeah.
Whereas I kind of disagree. I think simplicity, and there's a beauty behind simplicity, and sometimes my clients and myself, we don't want something overly detailed. And RdnRacing here is going to point out that there can be points to both sides of the story. So without further ado, I don't want to drag this intro on any longer, but maybe tell me a bit about why do you think one could be better than the other?
No, definitely. I think this comes from perspective-wise, right? In terms of, for example, DrifterD, his perspective comes from content creation. Now, when there are a lot of details, that gives us content to talk about, right?
Yeah.
For example, the casting that he has in his hand is this amazing F40.
Love it, man.
Right? It's got details. He can make a video on it. It can be good details, can be bad details, but there are stuff for him to talk about. Same goes for me. When I do videos, essentially when I buy my cars, it's because they have details that I want to talk about.
Right.
For example, this casting. It looks plain, for sure, but as you look inside, there are a lot of details here you cannot miss. Right? And as content creators, we love it. Now, on the other hand, like you said, you prefer simplistic details, right? And I mean, fair enough. There is a
there's a borderline of too much. There's just there could be too much.
I beg to differ. I don't know.
He begs to differ, but I think that at the end of the day, it boils down to preference, right?
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
totally.
But I would say when it comes to, it also comes down to you as a collector. Are you someone who collects cars for its realism? Right? Or do you collect it because it looks fancy and awesome and whoa, it's got amazing parts, right?
So
I think that's where we kind of like draw the line. That's how. And so what I want to know is, and I'm sure you guys want to know, is why they are on the different ends of this conversation. So we're gonna start with DJ first.
DJ DrifterD over here.
Oh, like why? Let's start.
Tell
with
me
the
why
start,
it's not enough. You know that more.
No, because I don't want to start, man. Okay. Y'all can help me get the ball rolling, right? But for me, like Redwan said, from a content creation point, when we look at a car, we zoom in on it. We look at the fine details. We have something to talk about.
We'll put some B-roll so you can see what this one actually looks like.
Whoa! So we take a close look at highly detailed cars like this Ferrari F40. You know, it's very nice. You can appreciate it for what it is.
Right.
So I believe there's the same perspective, not just from a content creation point, but just like as a collector, you want to be able to look at a car and admire it, right? You don't want to maybe look at a car that's too plain, like you see like, oh, it doesn't have like the side mirrors, or you see that like everything is very not refined, right? But I guess when it comes to details, when something as detailed as this, it's just fun. When you notice the small little things like, oh,
it's not fun if you feel guilty about taking it out of the package.
But what if I said I do remove
for someone who opens all of his cars?
I open up all my cars, and that's the fun.
If you feel guilty, you got a $200 essentially car. You don't feel a little guilty about opening it up?
Surprisingly,
it's beautiful the way it sits, but can you appreciate it if you kept it that way?
That's a very good point. And I gotta add on, because I have seen his collection. I know for a fact he will open it up.
This is true. We all know this already.
You guys know the convention piece, right? The iconic.
I don't think he owns
R34.
any cardboard ever.
Like the iconic yellow R34. He's got it loose. I mean, there are collectors out there that will get mad. Right? I know a lot of people.
Don't open it.
So
you're stupid.
Yeah, that's what they will say. But I don't care, you know. because I personally like to open up my cars. Yeah.
I've heard, but I've also I've heard this conversation in the community, in the Temasek group, and all the all the communities, even in Canada. It's 50-50. Very divided. Very divided. Some people will like, don't you dare open that sucker. You're going to lose all its value. It's going to be worth nothing. But at the other side, exactly, right? And the other side's like, it's like, no, just open it. Just open it. Just, it's okay. But now that raises another question: is that could it still be appreciated in the card and outside the card? And of course, we can chase a rabbit with this topic. But at the same time, my whole point of disagreeing. Partially. Of course, I stand at a position where I'd much rather have something that I can take it out or have it in the packaging, but I love how simple it is. Because my perspective comes from a sales and nostalgic portion. Not just the content creation where I want to see the vents. I want to see the fins and canards on the bumper. It's cool. But this one, for example, this is carded in 1991. Are you guys even born before?
No, you're not.
1991, this card is in better shape and better looking than these two. So honestly, I think that like there's beauty behind simplicity because to me, I look at each piece I buy and each piece I sell, and of course, I have to sell to each side of the table, and I'm happy to explain why both sides have merit. But at the same time, my personal self, my personal outlook on it is that I would much rather see something tiny bit of detail. But what I think is overdone is that every car has to look meticulously exactly like the actual life car.
Which would be
your side.
Yes, right.
Yes, it's gorgeous. Yeah. All F40s are gorgeous. I can have a Play-Doh shaped F40, Hot Wheels or whatever the McDonald's version. It would still be the coolest McDonald's F40 that there is. But there's pleasure and happiness behind simplicity because there's too much stuff in life that's too complicated.
In that case, I would like to argue I think I kind of understand more about the nostalgic side because you used to play with these and whatnot. Yeah. But what if, how about that? What's the market price on that right now?
This one will sell between about maybe $20 and $40.
$20 and $40. This one is the PO price is 30,
35, 40. So generally they're about the same
price, right?
About the same price.
So I feel like it would make more sense to invest. When I say not monetarily, but invest in something that's more detailed. How about in today's time though, John? Like in resale wise,
resale wise,
would you rather pay $30 for this or $30 for that from a consumer's perspective, right?
Right now,
Oh, yeah. Wait.
Hang on. Right now, because of how good original package sealed this is $40 now. Okay. But this will fetch $60, $70, $80, $100 in the coming years. This is so new.
Yeah.
It looks like every other new F40, the white one, the black one, the gray one, the red one that's coming out next week. It's not going to change. This is nostalgia. This is like your childhood in a package. And if it's sealed and currently same value, I feel like that'll plateau. Talking business wise, that'll plateau. It'll get to maybe that $60, $70 price point, and it will hold, and it will not move. This has gone from a $10 to a $20 to a $50. It'll keep going because as long as you can keep it in good shape, as long as like humidity doesn't kill it or age doesn't kill it, it essentially will keep forever. And since these are becoming harder to find, they'll become more valuable and in turn become more expensive. So I feel like yours will get to the point. And we've seen that other ones too. I mean, you guys can like weigh in on that part, but we've seen other cars, other Skylines. Yeah. Why is it shot up so fast? Yeah. But then other stuff is like, it shot up and then it's like down. What about the RLC Skylines, R34, the pink one?
Yeah, wow.
As soon as the pink and chrome ones came out, they were like easy $100 right away. Then they shot $200.
Yeah.
But after almost 6 months or a year now, how much is a pink one worth? Only about $200. It has gone up to that $200 and plateaued and not moved. But I've seen nostalgic pieces. Maybe that's because of our region. I mean, Singapore is a little secluded from certain. We get maybe good new stuff from Malaysia and Indonesia, but we don't always get like old vintage stuff. Sometimes it's hard to find pieces like this.
Yeah.
Correct.
So maybe because where we are, being in Singapore, I feel like maybe that could weigh in. Because in Canada, this could maybe potentially go lower, maybe $10, $20. right?
Yep.
And then it'll be around that price point. But in general, like it all depends, of course, on the model and of course the casting and that sort of thing. But
okay, then in that case, I have one last point to
sure.
add in, right? Because I think it's true that a lot of people do collect Hot Wheels, right? I mean, so most
For
people
sure,
know about
for
Hot
sure.
Wheels. So I think it's right that John mentioned that a lot of people believe in it. That's why they invest in it.
Yeah.
Right. But wouldn't it be right to say that there's been this new wave of collectors, including Red One? You just started collecting. How long has it been?
It's been 2 years, guys. I'm the new guy.
Quite new.
That's
I would
true.
say.
That's true. That's
yeah,
true.
it's like you just started collecting 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I believe there's this new wave of collectors. When you show, let's say, you show this to them, they're like, "Hey, look at this! It's $70."
Yeah.
I think most of them will scratch
Are
their
you
head.
sure?
They're like,
how
"Bruh."
does it become $70?
Yeah, right. And then maybe they'll look at this and be like, "Oh, this is
Oh, I
half the price."
see.
Then they'll say like, "I'll rather get this compared
Right.
to something that I can't relate to." Right.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's where the line is. That's where we are on the spectrum.
That's it. That's it. That's
Right.
that's the whole spectrum.
And what
right
do you
there.
think, Red One? Do you
I
feel
think,
like that's you agree with that?
You do both bring amazing points, I gotta say. I'm in awe. I mean, it's brilliant points. But I think at the end of the day, one thing I really like to say, I think I've heard Drifter talk about as well in videos, is collect what you guys like, please.
Yeah,
Just don't collect
totally.
a car just because it's cool. Or it's because, oh, everyone has this car, oh, I gotta have it. Oh, come on, man, don't be that guy.
Yeah.
You gotta collect what you like, right?
Yeah.
I
What you like, for
personally, I would get this, the F40 that DJ has it. That's because it's something that I like. I like
It's
the color.
RD.
The black on this is phenomenal.
It is
I
sick,
personally would not get what John gets. Not because I hate the casting, right? I mean, I love F40s, right?
Yeah.
But it's because I don't see myself having that in my collection.
Because we're both newer collectors, I would say.
100%. And with newer brands like Pop Race, Mini GT, what other brands are the Inno 64s, for example, like the one we have here.
Yeah.
A
With
lot of
them,
people are focusing on details.
They are.
And the new wave.
And exactly, and I
collectors.
think that's where we kind of will get segregated.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
a lot of nostalgia involved, definitely 100%. But I think us as new collectors, we don't get to appreciate the nostalgia as much as you do.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
true.
actually
You know,
that's-
but to kind of drag this back, I still want to ask: is details a good or a bad thing? Because we have been discussing about the value, right?
Right.
Value is the one thing at the side. But imagine if you had all the money in the world, right? Would you get the Inno 64 F40, or would you get a nostalgic piece like the mainline F40? But that's a question we need to answer.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, it kind of depends on each of us as an individual.
Yeah, it's gonna matter the age of the viewer too.
Yeah,
Honestly, if you guys are
preference, where you
older
are.
fans, maybe a bit older seasoned collectors, more like myself, or you're younger like these two, and you can't appreciate the nostalgia that is the bricks of metal we used to play with when we were kids. To have a door or a trunk that opened.
Whoa! Like, I can only
We
imagine.
can't have that tooling. That was never around. That wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
We don't have resin printers, 3D printers, the little drills that do the stupid vents. We never had it. So this was our highly detailed piece. Now we're just fast forwarding 20 years and saying this is the nostalgic piece. Realistically, there are much older, way worser hunks of metal.
Oh, definitely.
But at the same time, I didn't vote for that. I would vote for that piece that came out in 1990 or 1985 because even though they're really ugly, like I think I had an old Matchbox or Majorette, and I ran across it on eBay one time, and it was like an old 80 Mustang or something like that. It was really ugly. It was really, truly. I might carve it by hand, carve with the old file. But at the same time, flood of memories came from me sitting on my little playmat with the city playmat, and it's like brought back all that nostalgic. And that's why we love this hobby in general, is because of where it takes us. Does it take you to a carpet in your middle of your aunt's floor where you used to spend hours playing with your Hot Wheels, or does it take you to an expo where you saw the first release of the Proton? Like, I don't know, like wherever it took you, I feel like that's what people gravitate to. But so I think the younger viewers would relate that, like, yes, it's I like details, but I'm going to say that most of the guys that have been collecting for years are even older than me. Like, a lot of my customers are even older than me. I would say they honestly would side with something that's like, you know, details, but not overly detailed, like the one F40 you're holding. This particular piece, Bernard actually made for us. We'll put his comment somewhere up here. Bernard's an awesome customizer in Singapore, and he took this piece and made this piece. So these castings are exactly the same, but essentially this one has a whole facelift done. You can see there's multicolored headlights. You can see there's seat belts, dash lights. The whole engine bay has been repainted. So he's kind of the intermediate, what might be cool with detail, but not overly detailed.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm closer. I'm a little bit closer to being to you here. But that's too much. It's too much. It's just too much. There is too much detail. I can't enjoy it. It's not a toy anymore. It's a model. It's a model you sit. Your mother doesn't allow you to play with models, but she would have given you a 49-cent Hot Wheel and said, go. Right?
True. And maybe 10 to 20 years down the road, two of us, while we're talking to like our kids with their hover cars flying by themselves, like, oh, I don't like that, 65. It doesn't
It's got wheels.
It's got wheels.
It's got wheels. You got to push it around.
It has a what? It's a fuel.
I have to take it out of the package.
I have to hold it.
What?
I think that's a very good point that you've brought on. Once again, message out to Bernard. I think he's done an amazing job.
And I think,
customizer. Once again, to what I started this video by saying, as a content creator, I think this is a car that I would definitely want to have in my collection to talk about. I mean, as I'm looking at this car, I can kind of get a gist of what I would talk about, right? Especially like that little rod that kind of holds the engine bay up.
Yeah, that's such a nice touch.
Right, that's a very nice little subtle detail.
Yeah.
The engine bay is repainted amazingly. The interior is red. I'm pretty sure that's repainted as well, right?
Yeah.
So, and the car is in blue.
The whole under tray actually is chrome red underneath.
I can't show you the under tray, but so essentially, it's very nice to have details. Whether or not too much details is good or bad, that's up to you.
Yeah, it's up to you.
Because it does get
up to the collector.
Expensive. Yeah, you must pay more for more details. So it's up to them to which line, how much they're willing to pay. Whether it's $60-$70 for an ignition model car, or maybe something more toned down like an Eno, Tarmac, or Pop Race, or something as basic as a Hot Wheels mainline.
The main question is, is too much details a good or a bad thing?
I guess your thoughts.
Leave your comment down below. Tell us, what side are you on? I know you love Drifter more. I'm the new kid on the block in terms of new Singapore, I guess. But at the same time, it's just like, give us your honest opinion. Like, tell us how, interact with us. This is a brand new channel. This is technically the first episode we've done, besides our intro one that you saw earlier. But essentially, we want to get all the feedback, because this episode is going to be one of many we hope to do. And we'll do them as often as we possibly can. But I want to bring up topics like this every time to see where everybody stands. And it's important that we have your feedback.
Absolutely. Sure. And before we end off, if you guys have any content you guys want us to talk about, any topics you guys want, right? Feel free to let us know. Drop us in the comments. If you guys feel uncomfortable, you can always drop us a message on our socials. They're all going to be in the description below. I always love to interact with all of you, and I'm sure Drifter and John.
No, I hate people.
I hate people. Don't listen to him, guys.
I don't have a storefront. It's a front.
It's a front.
It's all an act. It's all an act. No, but I really learned a lot from John's perspective today. I think you did too.
I definitely learned. And I'm a huge fan of details on a certain level. And but honestly, I think it's just that when I think a car, I think, why do I even like that car?
So once again, it's up to you all to decide. Collect what you like. Enjoy the hobby. And tell us in the comments below.
Yeah, just tell us. Just tell us how you feel.
So with that, the answer to this question is too much details good or bad. I guess we'll never know.
Never know.
So I want to hear from you guys.
Let's hear what you have to say. That's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, this is our first episode of many we hope to do with you guys. And go ahead and click subscribe, click follow, click like, leave a comment. Leave your comments. Comment. We're going to try to put it on all the platforms, but YouTube is going to be our base for all the cool, longer content. All the slapstick comedy that is us. And essentially, that is a wrap. And thank you so much. Leave down below, do you think too much detail is a good thing or a bad thing? Honestly, I don't even know now after talking about it. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I do like all the details.
Maybe also I should appreciate nostalgia.
I probably have more cars that are highly detailed than less detailed.
I love everything, guys.
Guess I'll never know.
Guess we'll never know.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.